Hey team, Lisa here. It's the Monday edition, positive and productive. Good to be back. I really enjoy doing a live feed Monday mornings because it kind of starts my week. Uh, I'm still working and working a lot actually, but when you work at home, those boundaries kind of blur. So it's nice to have something to remind me like weekend is over, Monday is here. Good morning, Lynn. We'll just wait a little bit, see who else joins in. But yeah, it's super nice to start off a Monday with something like this. Um, the title of this program lesson thing is positive and productive, and I was just kind of thinking last night, preparing for this. I don't know that I want to do the productivity tip that I planned on. And also feels a little disingenuous to preach positivity. Um, from the mindset of just appreciation. I do think appreciation is important and being positive is important, but I never want to send the impression that negativity is a problem, right? Sometimes, not sometimes, always negative emotions shine a spotlight on areas of growth and opportunity. So there's just so much going on in the world right now, regardless of where you fall on your spectrum of beliefs, consumption of news, and detachment for your own mental health and wellness. There's still, for every human being, a collective feeling of, well, I'm not going to actually tell you because it's not my job to tell you feelings, but I wanted to honor that in our positive and productive tip for today because with so much going on, it's really hard to change gears and really get in the hey, it's time to work gear. So I want to give you a strategy that's going to sound really bizarre but helpful. Um, so let's just, I guess, switch into the practicality. This is something that works for me. And hey, Vinny, see you on there too. Thanks for saying hi. It's so nice to start Mondays like this. But a little backstory. I'm a very emotional human. However, in my adult life, I've learned that I have no idea what feelings are. I read a quote in a book once. I think it was Untamed by Glennon Doyle. She said, yeah, I felt emotions, chased after good feelings, loved the heck out of them. Bad feelings were for stuffing down deep or fixing. And I was like, oh, yeah. Now that you say that, I can totally relate. Um, so sometimes, despite being uber emotional and sensitive, I struggle with feelings and I'm like, ugh, I have the emotional capacity or awareness of a first grader. Why can't I figure this out? Which is why a color coded wheel helps. I highly recommend you search this up on the internet if you don't have it. Just look up emotions wheel. But what it does is it takes those common vague descriptors like angry, sad, happy, surprised, and branches them out into more specific emotions. So bad, for example, could be bored, busy, stressed, or tired. And even if we just looked at tired, that could be more specifically drilled down to sleepy or unfocused, right? So really identifying your emotions helps you. What does this have to do with being positive and productive? When I'm stuck in an emotion, I have a hard time being productive. So the strategy I want to show you today is to use the to-do list that collect our personal management items, all the things I need to do in a day, but use the to-do list for emotions. So if you're trying to get to work but you're distracted by feelings, get a piece of paper. For me, I have to get an emotional wheel because I don't have enough emotional literacy to identify without, and write them down. I can't work right now because I'm feeling, when I look at it, horrified, overwhelmed, worried, nervous. Now that I'm saying this on the internet, exposed. So I have all of these emotions. I'm going to put them on a list. Now I have a choice as a human being. If work starts in 5 minutes, I'm going to take this list and I'm going to force myself to feel through all of those feelings later. But if I have time before work, I'm going to feel through them now. So this gets to the second part of the strategy and activity about making space for feelings so that you can be productive. Because if I try to just go to work with all of those, I just listed 5 of them dancing around in my head, I'm not going to be very productive. The next part, whether you do it before work or on a lunch break or after, is sitting down and sitting with those feelings. And I've heard that a million times, probably literally a million, because I like reading self-help books. But I never understood what that looks like. I'm a very process-oriented, literal human. So I was like, okay, like sit in a chair, and then what? Because I've worked so hard to get rid of negative feelings my entire life as a coping mechanism. They're not going to just come visit me naturally. So I heard this great thing from somebody I work with. She said, I don't know the exact time frame, but she had read an article about a clergyman who would go to houses and let families know that a loved one of theirs had deceased, either in a line of duty or some tragedy. And what the clergyman noted was, this is the epitome of human grief, like an unexpected tragedy, a stranger delivering that news to your door, like ultimate sadness, right? But everyone broke down, but they could only crumble for so long. So, it's kind of a sad thing to talk about, but the reality is when you let those emotions wash over you, they cannot stay forever. So 4.5 minutes is a good average time. So this is what I'm going to suggest. You identify all of the complex emotions in your head. You give them a name, right? That turns them into something a little bit less abstract. You put them on a list. You get a timer. So for example, one of mine was exposed. I'm feeling exposed because I'm sharing this vulnerable thing about emotions with you. I'm going to set a timer for 4.5 minutes. And I'm going to feel what it feels like to feel exposed for that entire 4.5 minute period. It's going to be super awkward. But at the end of it, it's cathartic, right? And then if I still have time and more emotions, another one that I was feeling was worry. It's a personal favorite emotion of mine. We're best friends. I'm going to set a timer for 4.5 minutes, and I'm going to force myself to feel worried that 4.5 minutes. You can do this with sadness, with anger, whatever your emotion is. And that lets them go. And then you can be productive. The thing is, emotions come in and out during the day. I'm not going to sit here and say what you should or shouldn't do. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not trained in that field. I'm just speaking from personal experience. And the truth that we can't be super productive when we have complex issues floating around in our head. And right now, the world is a very complex place. So this is a strategy you can repeat ad nauseum. As many emotions you have, as much time as you have. But I do think it's important to remember productivity isn't time at the table doing the job, right? Productivity to me is efficiency and quality. I'm not going to do a high quality job when I'm distracted, and I'm not going to be working at an efficient capacity if I'm overwhelmed with emotion. So I'm making a huge assumption that my friends out there are dealing with some complex feelings too. But if this strategy isn't something you need today on this Monday, I can guarantee you, because of the way life works, that at some point there's going to be an emotional barrier to your productivity, and now you have a strategy that you can try. That being said, you might try and hate it, never come back to it again, or you might try and love it. I'll type the specifics up and put them in the comments. If you want to ask any questions or tell me about something that works for you for getting focused when you have a lot going on internally, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, I don't see any questions or comments. So before I log off, when I say feel that feeling for 4.5 minutes, if you're anything like me and a little bit lost, you can start with a process like, where is it in my body? What images come to mind? How does my breathing change when I think about it? What memories are attached to the feeling? What future thoughts are attached to the feeling? If you're someone who's really uncomfortable just sitting in silence for 4.5 minutes, you can write the 4.5 minutes. You can draw a picture for the 4.5 minutes. Really, the key is to concentrate the entire time on that one particular feeling. Just as with meditation, you're going to have other thoughts pop in and out. Just gently acknowledge them and let them keep moving and get refocused on the feeling. So, again, what does that have to do with positivity and productivity? Positivity isn't necessarily being happy all the time, but it's having hope and allowing yourself to feel feelings opens up space for hope. Um, the the next part of it is, once you get those feelings recognized, I don't want to say dealt with because I guess it's an ongoing process. That opens up some space for productivity too, where you can focus and not feel guilty about moving on to the next thing. Like, you acknowledged it, you made a placeholder for it, and now you can move on. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully it works, and I will see you next week. Mo, you're welcome. I'm glad that you found it helpful. I mean, this has been life-changing for me, so it's worth sharing if it helps at least one human. With that, enjoy the rest of the live feeds. Brian Quinn's meditations, they're always great to pair with this type of activity. Get your fitness in with me on Wednesday. Kirsten is today, I think. I don't know. I don't have the new calendar memorized, but it is on our Facebook, so you can go there. And I will see you around, Facebook friends. Bye.